Okay, this is going to be kind of a part two follow-up video to the auto-tune corrections and auto-tune VE and what all the values mean video I just did. So what we're looking at here is a data log of a nitrous motorcycle with 2 stages of nitrous, progressive, and what's called a pusher or a booster. And what I want to do is I want to analyze what is causing the extremely rich lambda readings. So this assumes that the engine has been tuned and the VE map, the main VE map fuel table, is where you want it to be for your target lambda 0.80, 0.85, whatever you want it to be. And if you turned all the nitrous off, it would go right down the racetrack with auto tune, with your closed loop lambda turned off, and it would achieve your air fuel and your lambdas you want. So that's a first assumption we have to make, is that the motor is tuned without nitrous. Okay, so now that we've turned the nitrous on and we have a data log, we see that our corrections are plus 8% roughly to minus 25%. And in the first couple of gears it looks okay, but halfway through second gear and throughout the rest of the run, it's still it's a lot below our target, somewhere between 4 and 8% below our target, even with 25% corrections. So why is this happening? Okay, so there's several reasons why, but we're going to focus on the effects of each stage of nitrous on the tune-up and what we should do to analyze and correct our lambda to get it where we want it. Okay, so this is stage 1. This is our pusher. Stage 3 is our booster or our pusher, whatever you want to call it. And then stage 2 is a regular progressive. And you can see it doesn't come on for 1.27 seconds. So what's going on? Well, we're progressing stage 1 and stage 3 early in the run. And you can see that the ECU is adding about 8%. I would like to see it less than 5%, but this is sort of acceptable. These bumps and these valleys and hills that you see, lean spots and rich spots in the initial stages, that's a dynamic situation that's very hard to correct. And we'll go into that in another video. But as long as it's close to your target, if you try to correct that, you may be giving it a lot more fuel than what it really wants to see there. But anyway, so we're trending along fine here with our target and actual, and we start to get rich. Now, why are we going rich right there? Okay, well, the first thing I see is that's when our booster is starting to actually come in. We're progressing the booster. This bike does not turn the booster on; it's progressing it. So I'm going to look at the booster as being at least between here and here. The booster is being the main culprit as to why it's going a little rich right there. Okay, but the other thing that we have to consider is we're below our target. Is it really because of this? What else can you see in the graph that would be causing it to go rich? We're adding 7%. And the reason we're adding 7% is the O2 corrections, the closed loop is doing that. And it's slow on purpose. We don't want wild swings, in the closed loop lambda. That's not desirable. So in this case, it's not the pusher that's causing the problem. It's our closed loop wideband lambda that's actually adding 5%. Okay? So we can speed this up a little to fix that, but we don't need to do anything to the fuel stage corrections for stage 3. We're going to leave those alone because we're adding 5%. Closed loop is adding 5%. Now, when we get to this point in the graph where our corrections are close enough to 0, what do we see now? Well, stage 2 is coming in aggressively now, and we're taking fuel out, and we're still getting richer. But you can see as we take fuel out, you can see that it's trying to reach target here. But with stage 2 progressing in rapidly and stage 3 progressing in rapidly, that it's going to push it down rich. So how do we fix this? So we minimize this. One of the nice features in the ECU on the data logger screen is you can right click and keep this window on top, so when you're working in the fuel table, the data logger window always stays on your screen. So what we'll do is we'll move this down so we can see what we need to see here. Okay, so stage 2, and here's how much fuel we are calculating that we need to add based on stage 2. Now what does that mean? So I know this data is kind of scrunched up. So here's stage 2, and we're still 5 to 8% away from our target. Now that's total lambda. What that means is all corrections, all the nitrous stages, all of the temperature corrections, and the main VE calculation, all of those add up to be 5 to 8% too rich. So just leaning this out 5% may not get you to target. Okay? Now, if all of those other things are tuned properly, then yes, theoretically, just leaning this out 5% would get you where you want to go. I'm going to say it's still a good starting point for your tune. Okay, so what I'm going to do to correct this rich condition, because our pusher, our stage 3 and our stage 2 solenoids are coming in and they're adding their fuel calculation, I'm going to take 5% out here, and I'm going to take 5% out of stage 3 across the board. And I'm going to go make another run. Now, my gut tells me that that's not enough. But if it's rich, I will always get a second chance. If it's lean, you might not get a second chance. So proceed with caution. Always err on the side of rich when you're tuning a nitrous motorcycle. Everybody knows that. We're not, if you're testing or you're tuning, you don't need to go attack the leanest target possible. It's just going to cost you a lot of money. The other thing you can do if you don't want to adjust these values, a more aggressive approach would be to set up an extra fuel table that would take fuel out. This case, we're taking fuel out based on nitrous bottle pressure for stage 1. So we have a pressure sensor in stage 1 nozzle. So we can add and subtract fuel based upon the nitrous timer and nitrous bottle pressure, or sorry, nozzle pressure for stage 1. And as you can see here on this map, this data log was actually created with these values. So if I wanted to get real aggressive with my correction, adding or subtracting fuel in this table does it globally. So 3% less fuel takes it from the main VE table, it takes it from everything. It's a global change. Whereas the changes here only take it from this nitrous section only. And you may want to do this. This is a more call it a focused in change. But you may have to make a larger adjustment than you think, because lambda is a measurement of all of the fuel corrections, not just this one table. So changing this 5% here might not get you a 5% correction in your lambda. Hope that helps. Thanks for choosing Max ECU.